Welcome back to Talking Water. I'm David Easton. I've got Graham Mann with me from switchwatersupplier.com. And we're going to look at, actually, we're going to talk to you and just put it right out there, the reasons why you might want to switch water supply. In fact, Graham, the reasons why you really need to be thinking about switching water supply.
Absolutely. Well, it's little known, particularly in the water market, that last year wholesale and retail charges combined went up by an average of 20-odd%. Not much was made of it in the news. Prices aren't volatile in the water industry, they go up annually, and we expect the same to happen in 24-25. So I've already seen some of the charges in the wholesale market, 14, 15, 16% add on the retail market, retail margin, sorry, and then you're talking about an increase of a further 20%. So we're expecting water, wastewater and trade effort charges to increase over the next 4 years by approximately 75%. It's a huge increase.
It is a huge increase, and in a market where many of you watching this might not even know that it is a market, then in the same way as with the energy prices, gas and electric, that will have clearly affected your businesses in the last 2, 3, 4, 5 years, this is one where hopefully you can future-proof yourself a little bit, get in there before everyone else, and secure yourself a decent deal.
Well, David, on the top end of the scale, we had one customer that spends, I think it's about 10 million a year on water and wastewater costs. So their charges increased by 1.75 million. That was last year, and so if the same increase next year, it's probably over £3 million worth of increases on their water bills over the next 2 years. And the organisation concerned has been hit quite hard with that. So they're looking now with us to look at water efficiency, how to use water, and how to use water more efficiently.
So do many companies just look at that bill, that water bill at the end of the year, and go, well, just got to suck that one up? That because that's just how it is. Water, you can't switch. And what was the reaction when you spoke to this organisation first and went, you know what, we might be able to save you more than a few quid there?
Well, OMG and a few expletives. This companies simply don't realise. I think they're concentrating on the energy market, which is a big issue for them, a really big issue, and I completely understand that. And I think water and wastewater and trade effort charges are almost like a curveball, But what we are seeing is quite a substantial increase in inquiries and businesses committing to looking at reducing their costs. The sustainability and the cost reduction, yes, is the driver. But then there's a lot of talk about smart meters, which we'll address a bit later on in this program. But smart meters give you a visual aspect of what you're using, and it's used to help drive down the costs, the input and the output of the volumes, which is key to future-proofing, future increases in bills.
So if someone is thinking right now, I think I need to have a look at this. I think our business needs to not just make water efficiencies, because we all need to do that. It's all part of what we need to do for our collective futures. But if they're also looking, saying, that's some money I can save there, money that might well keep this business afloat. Again, there's another water pond. There'll be more of those. Is it one of those where you just say, right, here's the platform, get on with it? I think you're actually providing more of a service for them, aren't you, rather than just saying, right, come here, we'll save you some money, but we're going to make you do all the work.
Well, you just mentioned something there, David, about saving businesses. During the COVID period, we got approached by a laundry. It's a reasonable sized business. They used to employ 50 staff, and they do quite a lot of laundry for the royal family. And they had a bill come in for about £130,000 from a water retailer. And in desperation, he's been trying to sort the problem out for quite some time. And we got a call from the guy of the business, and we set about looking at the bills, seeing where the errors were, and seeing if these charges were justified. And he sent us all the bills through. I just brought a photograph, actually, and there was about 18 inches of pile of printed off bills of his system. And we had to go through all that. But the gist of it was that after we'd audited the bills and liaised with the water retailer, and that took us about 13, 15 months to sort that out, the bill came down to something like about 12,000. And there is actually a reference on our website from the company concerned and basically said we'd rescued their business. They couldn't afford such a huge, what was seemingly a back charge, but the charges that were levied by the retailer that was actually levied on the retailer by the wholesale market. So it wasn't the retailer's fault, incidentally, it was the wholesale market supplier's fault. And we saved his business, and he put it in writing, and that just puts things into context.
Yeah, it's a huge amount of your outgoings every year, and you may not know that you can reduce that quite significantly. So, what is the platform? How do we get involved in it? What do we need? Is it as simple as going onto a website and putting a few numbers in, or what do I need to do?
Right. Well, it is quite simple and straightforward, although the platform was designed for customers to do their own tenders. A lot of companies prefers to do it for them, which is great, fine. So we give them a shopping list. There's about 5 or 6 items on there, which include copies of the water bills or copies of the supply point ID reference numbers, a letter of authority to act. So we need permission from the customer to put the data onto the platform, and a few other things, a few other details from the customer with regards to the site operations. That data is then uploaded onto the system. It takes us about 20-30 minutes to do that. The system then checks it, verifies it, and then the emails go out to all the water retailers, giving those that are participating the name of the customer and the approximate value of the tender, asking them to participate, and then it moves on from there.
So it is a tendering process. It's nice to have people fighting over you.
It's absolutely mind blowing, you know, to see the platform work, and it's kind of like the exciting point about it, because it took a lot of hard work to put this together. Not only our development work and using our expertise, but we took advice from those I know in the marketplace. We took advice from retailers. So it's been a development, not only through switchwatersupply.com, but it's been a development talking to the wholesale market, talking to the retail market, discussing various aspects of the market with the market operators, Mosul, and also discussing various aspects of the market with the regulator, Ofwat. So yeah, we're in the very early days. We did actually show them some slides of the market, how it was working, and also slides of the design of the platform, and it was well received.
So is it as can you actually see the numbers coming in? Is that I'm intrigued by it. I just think it's, you know, you could put this on a channel somewhere on Freeview. It'd be good to watch. But the other question is how much are, you know, actually how varied can these numbers be when they come back in? Can it be a huge saving compared to what you may have thought it was?
Well, yeah, the market's split up into 2 distinct areas. There's a Scottish water retail market and the English water retail market. There is more margin in the Scottish water retail market, up to 20-25% difference. So you know, we're seeing discounts of, dependent on what their rates are, the default charges are, of 18 to 21% discounts in the Scottish market. In the English market, hey, it's not the same. You know, we're working with very, very tight margins. You might be looking at a margin of 10%, 11%. So we are seeing discounts of 2, 3, 4%, something like that. So we're dealing with finite numbers. But when you're dealing with the top end, there's someone that's spending 100,000 or 200,000 or 500,000 or even more, then they are significant. So what complements the tendering process is not only the savings derived from switching. The savings are derived through water efficiency and water audits to identify errors in the charging structure.
So when we're going through this process and a company's come to you and said, we need your help on this as well, there is that support there for them too? Absolutely,
yeah. We support the customers through the whole tendering process. Once the tenders ceased, so the 60 minutes is up, we send the details of the pricing through to the customer together with the water audit reports, and then we have a meeting with them to discuss which retailer want to serve them, and we don't advise either. So we tend to we guide them. I said before early on in the program that retailers are much to muchness. They all make mistakes. Everybody does, and we provide that support through the whole of the new contract process. So if it's a 3-year contract, we provide them with support for the whole 3 years of the contract.
When companies come to you and when you're dealing with the water suppliers as well, do you often see that some suppliers match neatly with certain sizes of companies, or is it just a case of if the right numbers drop in, they're the people for you?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we ran a couple of tenders last week, quite sizable tenders, and you know, because these guys had never switched before since the market opened, there were significant savings on there, but they're also saving on the process costs, because if you've got 100 or 200 sites or multi-sited business, what tends to happen is if you haven't switched, you get bills coming in. You know, it might be quarterly or monthly for 200-300 bills piling in from different suppliers. So if you've got a multi-sited business, you'll only get one bill from one supplier. And if you've got a Scottish contract, you get bills from Scotland and bills from England. But if you switched, you'll get them all from one supplier.
So it's actually a case that you can make things a lot simpler just in the simple business terms. So
yeah.
If you're just paying that with that one bill for all those sites, it really can add up, and also just make your admin a whole lot easier.
Process costs in a business are quite high, really. So we've seen it through some quite large multi-site tenants. We've got one client, 1,100 sites. They had to process, but 10 years ago, 7,000 water bills, and put them into individual bill paying systems. Yeah, it was causing a lot of grief. But when they switched, we've actually rerun that long-standing tender, long-standing client recently, and we've secured another 3-year deal for them. So it's kind of, and we're still identifying areas of incorrect charging that come through on a fairly regular basis. I think on that particular client, I think Nicky's just agreed £61,000 back on a meter supply that wasn't even there. So they had 2 suppliers coming into the site, and one of the suppliers wasn't even anything to do with it. It wasn't even connected to them. So we got a 10-year refund back from the wholesaler, which was quite a welcome £61,000 check just before Christmas.
Very nice indeed. And these examples, every time I talk to Graham, he comes up with an example like this, which just out of nowhere, of someone saving thousands and thousands of pounds. But it's not just about people with hundreds of sites. If you're a business with one site, small business, you can still save money.
Yeah, for us, the market is quite complicated, and because of the small margins in England, it's really difficult to get anyone to bid on anything sort of below £5,000 a year, which seems ludicrous, really. We need to see larger margins available in the English market. The Scottish market's fine, but the English market, it's really dire. So a lot of businesses, probably there's a couple of 100,000 maybe small businesses that aren't really benefiting from the deregulated water market as much as certain sectors of the market. There has been talk about taking small businesses and micro businesses out of the water retail market altogether, because simply the retailers aren't engaging with them, and there's not, if you're going to switch and save yourself a tenner, what's the point?
True. So there's possibilities for some businesses out there, but how are you with switchwatersupplier.com helping those smaller businesses? Because we all need to make those efficiencies we've spoken about, and seriously, you can save money by making efficiency measures, and however big your company is. Obviously, the larger the company, the scale can be huge, but we all need to save water.
Yeah, I mean, we look at all bills. I mean, some bills are coming in at £46 a month or something like that. We'll give them a cursory glance and see if there's any obvious things they can do, and we'll just tell them on the phone what they can do without incurring too many costs. So we try to address all our customers, but putting them on a platform and switching is really difficult. What we're looking at the moment, I suppose this is commercially sensitive, but I might as well say it because I'm on camera, but we're talking to 1 or 2 retailers about forming a basket tariff for small or micro customers. So instead of having one customer spending £1,000 or £2,000 or £3,000 a year, and nobody pitching for that on the tender process, we're looking at creating a tariff basket. So maybe 50 or 100 businesses spending 2,000, 5,000. We want to create a micro business tariff basket where retailers can actually bid and supply us with a tariff for small businesses. This hasn't been done before in the water sector. As far as I know, I think it exists in the energy market, and there'll be those out there who'll say, well, yeah, that's matching what we've already got in the energy market, but it doesn't exist in the water market. So we've somehow got to work out how we service micro businesses better. And so we're going to have to work with water retailers to see whether or not they can help us devise a basket for micro businesses so that they get a better deal, and they pitch for these micro business tenders.
Let's go back to the platform then, and where we are we've been through the 60-minute tendering process. Does that come out? Does it regularly come out with one winner, and that's it? At the end of that hour, what do I do? Where do I go? How can you help?
Yeah, it does vary depending on who the customer is, and sometimes you can put a customer on and you're expecting lots of retailers to bid on it, and you might only get two. But then on the flip side, you get a situation where you're expecting not a lot of interest, and then you get 6 or 8 different retailers bidding for it. And there have been occasions where only one retailer bid for it, and that could be because they don't meet the credit score. It could be various commercial reasons why, and we pick out 1 in 10 just to ask them why they're not participating, or why that they didn't participate in this particular client's portfolio, and they'll tell us. So we have regular conversations with senior managers in these retail companies to find out why they haven't pitched on a particular contract. Sometimes it's just time sensitive. Sometimes they might have a holiday period and they might not have anyone covering that particular pricing, that particular client. But all in all, we get pretty good participation across the market.
And so even if there was, there's still a saving. There's still
absolutely, yeah,
something to be had there.
There's still a saving, and that sometimes they might save maybe a few grand, and then at the end of the day, it was quite interesting. I can recall a private school came through a third party partner, and they spend about £80,000 a year on water, and there was 6 bidders for it, and the saving was just under £4,000 a year. And the consultant said, well, they got loads of money at this private school. Why would they switch for a measly £4,000? I said, well, first thing I said was, well, firstly, if there's a £4,000 saving, if you were to say to the customer, right, okay, your charges just have gone up £4,000, they would kick off. But this is a £4,000 saving for a stroke of a pen, simple. And that's before looking at efficiency savings. Then when we looked at the water bills, and I said there's at least a 25% reduction can be made by becoming water efficient. So we did a quick benchmarking exercise and said to the client, listen, yes, you're only going to save £4,000 a year on your procurement, but there's a potential of 25% at least saving on your water in and your wastewater out. So kind of like, £18,000 across the board on your total bill. How does that sound? And that that was a light bulb moment for them, I think.
What on earth can you do to save 25% on your water bills just for efficiencies? What kind of...
Well, what we're finding is, particularly on schools, they have leaks in their water systems. There are WC flushes that are leaking. There are urinals leaking. They have underground leaks, and they just don't use water efficient in an efficient way. They have taps that are left running and stuff like that. So if you went into 10 schools, I guarantee you 8 of them we could save them at least 20-25%, and that's right across the board. It's pretty amazing. So if you considered that maybe you're looking at a £3 billion water retail value in the UK, and you could save possibly 25 to 30% on a broad brush, that's kind of like 30% of the market where you could reduce costs. There's savings and opportunities for water efficiency and better use of water on almost every site that we look at. and that's a fact. So it's not like an oversell. It's based on the knowledge and expertise that we've gained since in mid-90s when I came into the market.
So back to the platform and the process once again. We've been through our 60-minute process. We've found the company that they're going to sell their water to us. We've signed up. We've got the extra help from yourselves, the support and guidance of water efficiency to hopefully save even more money than that. Is that where the process ends?
No, it takes approximately 30 days for us to switch water supplier, so we do it all for you. We take meter readings of the existing meters so that you've got closing bills on actual readings and opening readings with the new supplier. At the end of the 30-day process, 60 days, 30-day process, the switch is done. The only time there's any issues in switching is if there's any debt on the old accounts, and we have to deal with that with the customer and with the retailer. At the end of the process, then we switch over. It's confirmed with the new switch. We check the new bills going forward, and then that's the job done really. And then we engage with the customer to look at reducing their consumption and their waste. And majority of the customers that we switch are always up for that, because it's not only the switching, it's the sustainability piece as well.
And in finding those efficiencies, making that saving from the tendering process, I presume you're getting some really good. We've heard some of the results so far, but the feedback, the results, the fact that people are coming back to you 3 years down the line, 10 years down the line, shows that this is working.
Absolutely. We've recently switched a small care home company. They've got about 32 sites, something like that. It was a chap I was speaking to about a year back on LinkedIn, which was our primary source of social media. And he thought it was an excellent idea. And so he had a chat with us a couple of months ago. We've recently switched all his properties, and we found 2 meters on the same supply pipe, and he was getting charged for both of them, so he's paying twice for his water. And looks like the refund could be about £50,000. I mean, and he'd already switched with a previous retailer. Unfortunately, he's got another year and 18 months with the existing retailer, but after then he intends to switch away. But on this particular one, 2 meters on one supply pipe. And it's not uncommon. These things, nothing surprises us. But this is probably the second one we found in the year. But yeah, paying for the same water twice is because he couldn't understand why this particular care home had 70 residents in one care home and 70 in the other, and you're paying £10,000 or £12,000 a year more for one than the other. There's an obvious imbalance. And this chap is the FD of the business. He said, I can't understand it. So we did a benchmark. We said, well, there's absolutely right. There's something not quite right here. And when we got to site, we got all the bills together, and there was 5 meters for one building. So it was a bit complex, but yeah, we tracked down 1 meter was actually supplying, 2 meters supplying one supply pipe. So it's a double charge. So yeah. And that was good money back. So now he's making recommendations and telling all his colleagues in the care home industry about how well we performed and what we've done for him. So it's a great reference for us.
So the simple shopping list that people need, first of all, obviously to go to switchwatersupplier.com, first port of call. But what do you ask them for? And is that going to, people might be thinking, oh, they need more detail off me. I might not be able to get this detail. In the long run, 1, it's not so much detail, and 2, it might well save you the money.
Yeah, well, the first is to give us a call or send us an email. We'll then ping you back an email telling you how the system works, and then just a shopping list. It's things like letter of authority to act, copies of the bills, or copies of the supply point IDs, which is the reference numbers on the accounts, and then a few other details like direct debit or standing order payments, what terms of reference you want on terms of payments, and also if you have any specific procurement requirements. So within the folder that we send out to the retailers, what is important is you can put service level agreements in there. You can have procurement details, how your business actually works, any idiosyncrasies that your company has that they want to build into the tender itself. And then we give them a date when the system goes live. So it's a fairly simple process. If you do have problems getting water bills, there are ways to circumnavigate that. While you save we want one bill per site. So a lot of the businesses that we talk to have online portals. So if you just give us the online portal or credentials, we can go in there, get all the billing information we need, and then upload that to the system. So it's a fairly simple process. And they have to do absolutely nothing other than provide us with specific details, and that's it really. So yeah, it's quite simple, straightforward.
It's simple, it's straightforward, it's switchwatersupplier.com. We'll be back with more talking water, talking more about how you can switch your water supplier with switchwatersupplier.com. Graham, thank you very much for joining us today.
Cheers, thank you.
It's been an absolute pleasure. Hopefully you've learned a little bit more about how you can save money and significant amounts of money by switching water supply with switchwatersupplier.com.